All right, let's dive in. Today, we're looking past that postcard-perfect image of Singapore. We are pulling back the curtain on this really fascinating new trend, tours that take you right into the hidden, operational heart of the city. We're going to explore why this is even happening, what these tours are all about, and what it tells us about the future of travel.
So, when you think of Singapore, what pops into your head? Probably those gleaming skyscrapers, the futuristic gardens, right? But what if I told you that's only half the story? That the real story, the one people are getting more and more excited about, is actually happening somewhere completely different.
What we're seeing is this incredible shift. You see, the new tourist hotspots aren't just the famous landmarks anymore. No, they're the engine rooms, the factories, the bus depots, the places that actually make the city tick. People are literally trading a view of the super trees for a peek at an automated crabstick line. So the big question is, why?
So what is driving this demand for these, unconventional, behind-the-scenes trips? It's not just random curiosity. There are some really powerful psychological forces at play here.
It seems to boil down to three key things: a deep, deep desire for something real, the rise of what we call edutainment, and, especially for locals, this search for identity in a world that's changing so fast. Let's dig into that first one, our quest for reality.
I mean, think about it. In a world of perfectly filtered photos and curated online lives, people are just hungry for something authentic. They want to get beneath that glitzy surface. Tour operators are actually getting asked this exact question: where's the dirt? It's this conscious pushback against the polished perfection we see everywhere else.
Now, that desire for authenticity ties right into the second big driver, edutainment. The line between learning something and just having fun is basically disappearing. We don't just want to sit back and be entertained anymore. We want our free time to be enriching, to actually teach us something new.
And this is not a small trend, not by a long shot. This is a massive global movement. The educational tourism market is projected to be worth over $1 trillion by the early 2030s. People are really voting with their wallets, and they're choosing to learn on their vacations.
And you can see this playing out in the real world. This quote here, it comes from a parent who took their kid on a tour of Singapore's disappearing trades. They didn't just see it as a fun day out. To them, it was a valuable, real-world lesson, a powerful kind of enrichment for their whole family.
And finally, there's this really powerful local angle. For a lot of Singaporeans, these tours are a way to connect with their own country, which is modernizing at lightning speed. A huge 79% are actively looking for ways to understand their own heritage through travel. It's almost like a form of nostalgic exploration, a way to find an anchor in a city that's constantly changing.
Okay, so that's the demand side. We get why people want this. But what about the supply? Why would a high-tech factory or a secure government building suddenly decide to just open its doors to the public? Well, it turns out there's a really smart business case for doing exactly that.
A huge reason is something called radical transparency. You know, in an age where we're all a bit skeptical of advertising, inviting people inside your operations is the ultimate power move. It builds trust way better than any glossy ad ever could. You're not just telling people you have high standards, you're letting them see it with their own eyes.
These tours are also genius at humanizing a brand. A tour isn't just about watching machines, it's about meeting the people behind the product. This quote from the Dodo Seafood Treats tour is the perfect example. Suddenly, it's not some faceless corporation, it's a community of dedicated people, and that creates a real, powerful emotional connection.
And of course, let's talk about the bottom line. These tours open up brand new ways to make money. Sure, you've got the direct income from ticket sales, but maybe even more important, you have a captive audience. When a distillery tour ends in a tasting room, guess what? People are way more likely to buy a fancy bottle of gin or stick around for a cocktail.
So what do these tours actually feel like on the ground? Well, the range of experiences is just incredible, covering everything from industrial grit to institutional secrets.
Seriously, the diversity is amazing. You can see here, it spans all these different sectors. You've got food tours that show you how a fishball is made, public infrastructure tours that take you deep inside the city's machinery, craft tours about making gin, and even heritage tours that unlock the secrets of old government buildings. There is literally a behind-the-scenes tour for almost any interest you can imagine.
So let's zoom in on one of my favorites, the industrial tour. The Dodo Seafood Treats Factory tour is just a masterclass in how to blend high-tech production with a really human story.
So the big draw, the thing that gets people in the door, is the spectacle of modern technology.
this incredible, one-of-a-kind crab stick production line. But then, they brilliantly pair that high-tech wonder with the chance to meet the longtime factory workers, the aunties and uncles. It's this perfect mix of awe and warmth.
Okay, so from the factory floor, let's switch gears and head to the corridors of national history. The National Gallery's tour works on a totally different kind of appeal. It's not about production, it's all about exclusive access. See, this is where the thrill comes in. You're not just looking at some historic building from behind a velvet rope, you're exploring its secret passageways, climbing through an actual trapdoor, and literally standing where prisoners once stood. It totally transforms a familiar landmark into a site of adventure and real-life drama. So what does this all add up to? Let's zoom out for a second and connect this whole trend to the bigger picture of where travel is actually going.
This isn't just some quirky fringe movement. It actually aligns perfectly with Singapore's long-term national tourism strategy. The country's whole vision is to move towards creating compelling, story-driven experiences. And these unseen tours, they are the living, breathing embodiment of that exact goal. They're authentic, they're educational, and they are deeply engaging.
And that kind of leaves us with one final thought. As our lives get more and more curated, more digital, maybe the ultimate luxury isn't another perfect photo for our social media feed. Maybe, just maybe, the most valuable experience you can have is the real, unpolished, and deeply human story. Definitely something to think about. Thanks for joining me.